Hello, and this is Delia again. I am reading The Struggle of Vampire Diaries. I am on Chapter 12, Part 8. He looked up, his eyes raking over the lintel, scanning the ceiling on either side of the threshold. Then, as the full realization hit him, his lips pulled back from his teeth in an animal snarl. Safe on her side of the doorway, Elena laughed softly. It had worked. My room and the living room below are all that's left of the old house, she said to him. And of course that was a different dwelling place, one you were not invited into and never will be. His chest was heaving with anger. His nostrils dilated and his eyes were wild. Waves of black rage emanated from him. He looked as if he would like to tear the walls down with his hands, which were twitching and clutching with fury. Triumph and relief made Elena giddy. "You'd better go now," she said. "There's nothing for you here." 1 minute more, those menacing eyes blazed into hers, and then Damon turned around, but he didn't head for the stairway. Instead, he took one step across the hall and laid his hand on the door to Margaret's room. Elena started forward before she knew what she was doing. She stopped in the doorway, grasping the casing trim, her own breath coming hard. His head whipped around and he smiled at her, a slow, cruel smile. He twisted the doorknob slightly without looking at it. His eyes, like pools of liquid ebony, remained on Elena. "Your choice," he said. Elena stood very still, feeling as if all of winter was inside her. Margaret was just a baby. He couldn't mean it. No one could be such a monster as to hurt a 4-year-old. But there was no hint of softness or compassion in Damon's face. He was a hunter, a killer, and the weak were his prey. She remembered the dreadful animal snarl that had transfigured his handsome features, and she knew that she could never leave Margaret to him. Everything seemed to be happening in slow motion. She saw Damon's hand on the doorknob. She saw those merciless eyes. She was walking through the doorway, leaving behind the only safe place she knew. Death was in the house, Bonnie had said, and now Elena had gone to meet death of her own free will. She bowed her head to conceal the helpless tears that came to her eyes. It was over. Damon had won. She did not look up to see him advance on her, but she felt the air around her making her shiver, and then she was enfolded in soft, endless blackness, which wrapped around her like a great bird's wings. And now we're moving to chapter 13, and I will continue.